So I want to go to the other side of the state. I had someone on a couple weeks ago from the mid-Michigan area talking about this, but now joining me, Elizabeth Donnelly Johnson, the mentor program coordinator for the Hope Project. It's great to see you.
Great. Thank you for having me, Dave.
Yes, and I know we've been communicating for a while, and it's great to do this. And I'm going to keep on focusing on this issue and mental health. These are the two big things in society that I think don't get talked about enough in depth. So I'm going to continue to focus on this. What is the Hope Project?
Yes, so the Hope Project, we are located over in Muskegon, Michigan. We serve the Lakeshore area. We are an anti-sex trafficking organization where we offer aftercare programs and services for survivors of young women and basically women of all ages from 11 to all the way up to 99. And so we offer like case management, counseling, group therapy, equine therapy, mentor programs. And so that's what we do is we help the healing with the women. And we also do some support for vulnerable girls and women as well that may be susceptible to human trafficking.
I'm going to ask you this one, and it's not easy answer. It seems like a simple answer, but it's very complicated because there's many forms. What is human trafficking?
Yeah, so human trafficking is a broad definition. It has two prongs to it. So a lot of times they get interchanged with labor trafficking is one of the prongs and sex trafficking is the other prong. We focus primarily on the sex trafficking part, though we is someone that we know that has been labor trafficked. We do try to connect them with resources in the community. And so human trafficking is a broad definition of someone that has been forced into whether sex or whether labor against their will. And the three things that you need to know that is they have to be underneath fraud, force, or coercion. And so one of those components, if you're over the age of 18, one of those things have to be present in order to be considered trafficking, whether sex trafficked or labor trafficked. Under the age of 18, so a minor, you do not have to show or prove any of those, the force, fraud, or coercion.
Okay, and I'm going to take questions from people online in just a little bit, and some things that parents must know. Someone watching from your area just says hello, or they're 45 minutes from Muskegon. They're watching. Okay, hello. People from all over. So is this a problem? Not a problem. Is this a human trafficking? Is it getting worse? Are we hearing about it more? It's always, I mean, through time it's happened, but It just seems like now it's just getting, what's the history of human trafficking? We're hearing about it a lot more, but we should have always been hearing about it.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to human trafficking is that we think that it's happening like internationally. Like that's not happening in America. You know, we have all these laws, we have all these protections, and absolutely. However, when I ask this question to anybody and like, is it happening here? And it's, you know, Muskegon. I said, well, does evil exist? And of course, evil does. I said, does evil have boundaries? Does it have walls? Can it be contained? And it cannot. And so it's not restricted to somewhere overseas or somewhere else in a different country. It is happening right here throughout the United States. So just not Muskegon specifically, not Grand Rapids, not Detroit. It has no boundaries. And so the issue people think about too is that it only happens in certain neighborhoods, like, oh, that happens over there in this neighborhood. And I'll be quite honest that some of our survivors come from very good homes and very good neighborhoods. So it's not always what you think it looks like. And just know that there is no one survivor that looks the exact same. It comes from all different neighborhoods, all different backgrounds, all different type of family backgrounds, all different education. So don't think that what this person should look like is not probably who you think it is.
And there's many situations on how someone ends up like this. I told you a couple months ago, I interviewed a girl, a young teenager during COVID. She actually met or was not happy with her parents or her family life. She moved to Florida. She ended up meeting who she thought was a nice
Mhm.
man. He ended up literally locking her in a home for a week and doing horrible things to her. And they did
Mhm.
arrest the man, and she was able to escape. How does it get to that point? Is it many like her situation? She left home. Are they vulnerable individuals, or because the people doing the human trafficking, they're not stupid. They know how to play mind games with people.
Absolutely. And I hate to say this, I think I said this earlier, is they're predators. So they're looking for the weak. They're looking for vulnerable. They're looking for someone, that is that runaway, someone that is in need of, when you think of basic needs, food, water, shelter. I mean, really, those are the basic needs. And if there's a runaway and they're looking for food, and they're looking, it's cold, or they just want to be in a safe, I'm saying safe place, and here's a nice man or a woman, and because it does happen with both traffickers. Sometimes people think it's a dominant with a male and female, but it's not always the case. Sometimes it's women trafficking women. So it could be like a friendly face, like, hey, you look cold, like, come on in. And so who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to be sheltered and get that attention and that love? And so it's under the guise of fraud, right? I'm impostoring someone who's kind, is going to take care of you and everything else. And so they get into situations where they know who to look out for. And so
You
that's just one of those vulnerabilities.
you sent me a link, and I remember the story, and I think it was like a sextortion case. A teen actually committed suicide
Mhm.
over pictures that someone had of them. Is that human trafficking, or is that just sextortion? Or it's horrible no matter what it is, but
Right, right. So it's I think the boy was under 18, so that's child exploitation. So that is more an exploitation. However, those images are out there, and so one of the things that I just attended a conference, which is really was kind of um, really stuck in my head a little bit about it, was the people that went through more the physical trafficking pieces of things, or sex trafficking, was easier to heal other than outside of the videos or the pictures, because once they're out there, they're out there, and they can be used over and over and over again, even without their knowledge. So I thought that was a really interesting perspective of a survivor that actually had was the pictures were being taken and utilized. So it's more exploitation, but it's in essence, the under the guise again the extortion in using those images. To most of it is money.
wow. Okay. So how what do parents, I mean, it can happen obviously, parent younger people, older women, men as well.
Mhm.
How do we protect ourselves, parents, or if you have a friend, where do we go from you deal with the aftermath, but is there a way to try to stop this when it comes to precaution? What do you suggest to people?
Mhm.
As obviously as a parent, I know I talked to someone recently, just be involved in your
Mhm.
loved one's life. That's really important.
Yeah, it's one of the things. I think that's the kind of the loaded question, really, is each
Yeah.
individual is their needs are different, and but they all have something similar. What I've seen is um, usually the home life is a situation where they might have seen abuse, been abused. That's a vulnerability. If they're a minor, skipping school, all drug use, all those things. I say it as a risk bucket. The more risk factors, the likelihood that they could be a susceptible is higher. Doesn't mean it's always going to be this plus this equals that, but it's knowing. Biggest thing for me is parents, guardians, even if your grandparents, aunts, uncles, know what your child, I'm going to speak specifically about youth right now, is know who they're talking to online. And because that's a lot of times how it happens, is it starts out that way, like, oh, this is my friend Susie or Jimmy, and they're building a relationship and they're asking questions. You know, you think about kids like, okay, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? It starts out very simple sometimes with those just innocent questions. And then they start as like, oh, where'd you go to school at? And so they start to get into those things, and then things start to happen. And so it's just be aware. One of the things that they recommended at this conference I just attended was be around, even if your kids are on cell phones or tablets or computer, be around, because they're less likely to do anything that you wouldn't want to see. And kids nowadays, they are so smart with this technology. It's unbelievable. One story was where their kiddo was not allowed to have TikTok on their cell phone, and well, they just uninstalled it. Parent checked out, yep, it's not there. They just reinstalled it, and all their stuff is still there. So parents, just be aware. There's a lot of resources out there. There's a great organization called, I want to say, Protect Young Eyes, through Grand Rapids, where they have different software for parents to load certain things onto it. They do a lot of educational outreach to help parents, because again, that technology is so fast and kids are just ingrained with like know all the tricks and all that stuff to keep those. So, but if you start to see behavior changes, something going on, start the conversation sooner with your kids, aunts, uncles, your niece and nephews. If you start to see some things and just like, hey, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? Because that's the one thing, is if they are in trouble or they've gotten themselves in trouble, they talk about your mental health. That's going to start to affect them, because I feel like they're hiding a secret now. I can't tell my mom or dad because I got myself mixed up with this, but yet I have to do what they are asking me to, because now they have pictures or they have certain things that happen so quickly. So parents, start the conversation sooner, to talk about like, hey, if something does happen, come to me or find somebody to talk to, that if it does happen, you know, the sooner the better, that we can help and intervene on those situations.
Now, are you helping those who have been through this as well, obviously, that have suffered through this horror?
Yeah. So my position is I recruit women of faith to come be a mentor to the girls. Our organization is faith-based. And so what we do is we have them go through a training process. We vet them. We do the background checks and references. So just think of like a job application, but with a little bit more back and criminal background checks. And so what we do is we try to match make them, because that's, again, that safe adult. And with the young kids that we, our clients, they just need somebody that's not a parent. You know, when you think about this, they may not get along with their parent. Like you said, like if the girl didn't want to be home and she wanted to run away, and that mentor just might be that even, you know, person to kind of talk about school, you know, bring some maybe level, like, you know, I understand why you're upset, but you know, there's might be a reason why your mom doesn't want you to have a phone. So just bringing in some of those things, engaging them and trying to walk along with them in some healing the process. Again, it's just someone, just a neutral person to be there, outside their guardian or mom, dad, or grandma, grandpa, whoever's taking care of them, and just helping them process some of these things. They're not counselors, but they're just basically a high level friend just that wants to keep them safe and love them right where they're at.
Wow. Yeah, when with social media, I have a 10 and a 6-year-old. They're not on social media. I'm going to try to keep that away from them as long as I can. But even video games, I've learned that when I was a kid, I'm 48 years old. I had my little Nintendo and I'd play baseball, football. But now you communicate with people when they play games. And it's like you're in a big room with people and you don't know. I tell my daughter, and you don't know who anyone is. It's
Mhm.
scary, really.
It really is. And when you think about, you know, it's kind of an off subject, but the catfishing, like people can create a whole online. And I've known, you know, I've heard of people actually creating kind of like an alter ego or like an avatar, like this is my real world, but this is my online world. And so you really don't know who you're really are speaking to. And so again, safety is number one for me, and helping parents with that, because it's so overwhelming. Because that's kind of our lives. I mean, everything's online, seems like. So just be aware. Again, I don't want to scare people, but when I tell people, I said, when you give your kiddo a phone, you are basically, think about this way, you are unlocking the front door of your house and letting anybody in. So the cell phone, if you do not have those deadbolt locks, you can do as much as you want, and you should try to do as much as you can. But if you don't have those deadbolts into that safety guards of those cell phones and all those things, it's a stranger. Any stranger can come through that. And so I don't want to put fear, but more educate and get knowledge on what's happening. If you don't know, find out, reach out. If you want to reach out to me, I can tap into people to some resources, but there's so many different resources out there trying to help parents and kiddos to keep safe, especially online, because that's just part of their lives nowadays.
It is. It's a different world just with the technology than when I had. And now I wish I could go back to that world without having the device, and it's a breath of fresh air without it. When I'm going to the woods and I lose cell phone service, I go, oh, thankfully.
Yeah.
um, any closing thoughts? Like you said, this isn't to scare people. This is just to let people be aware. And for parents, don't be afraid to bring these subjects up or to talk to your children, because knowledge is power, as they say, I guess.
Yeah, the biggest thing is exactly that, is just to be involved, like with the if you're going to give your kid a cell phone, make sure you're doing everything possible with any the protections on those things. Have some rules. I know it sounds horrible, because I know I have grandkids like, why? And like, no, like,
Yeah.
no, we can't do this. And so it's really hard to say no, especially because if we're on it, it makes us kind of like hypocritical because we're on our cell phones. But at the same time, we are adults, and we can, even some adults can get into situations, but protect your kids. Don't have them alone in their bedroom with a cell phone. If you can have that, be around it. They're going to be on their cell phones or tablets. Be around you in the living room where you can see what's going on. You can kind of ear hustle a little bit, like, what am I hearing? What are they watching? Because things will slip in now and then. And that's the thing is, just certain ads or certain things that come through are very, very deceptive. Even certain apps have Trojans where you can get to certain things or you can hide certain things. So it's just to be aware of those things and protect them. Before you give it to them, I would say, parents, educate yourself first, what's out there. And if it's a really good idea to do that, because you're basically, again, giving them something that is, it's not just your front door. It's opening up to an entire world of people. And just to keep your kids safe, and don't hesitate to reach out. No parent should never feel like, oh, I feel like I failed or I didn't do this. It's way okay, because we don't know what we don't know until it happens. So if there's things to do that happens, reach out, talk to people, reach out to other agencies. We're here to help. There's lots of agencies ready to help you too. So
Before I let you go, is there any way, are you can people help, like donate? What can they do to help your project, the Hope Project?
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking. Yeah, so we are a nonprofit, and the majority of how we function is through our donations. And so if you go to www.hopeprojectusa.org, you will be able to donate right there. And those funds go right to the Hope Project to continue with the therapy groups, counseling, the mentor program, case management, lots of different things. And I just don't want this message to die. I mean, I know there was a lot of hype with the Sound of Freedom that came out, and a lot of tick went up, but the reality is that this is here. We need to be educated, and we need to know, if we do see something, who to contact.
I put the link in the post, and I will put that on all the other videos I do as well. So you're doing good work, and I thank you. We were able to finally connect, and this won't be the last time. So thank
Yeah.
you so much, and stay safe. Keep doing the great work.